Hi. Yesterday we read a bunch of queer books. Now we're going to read a bunch of middle grade books. If you don't follow me on TikTok, I recently shared my library haul and I came away with so many middle grade books. I did a complete cover pickup of these books and I have been reading them. Hi, if you're new here, I'm Tally. Please consider liking and subscribing to join me on my reading journey. Let's do 2 reviews right now. Tourmaline and the Island of Elsewhere by Ruth Lauren. This is the start of a series. I think the series might be called Tourmaline. And Tourmaline is a wild girl at heart. She very much gave me the vibes of what is her name in His Dark Materials? I can't remember. Editing me will put it on the screen. So we follow Tourmaline, who lives at a museum, like a university that has a museum, and her mum is a adventurer slash a antiques explorer kind of vibe. So she basically goes off, finds these like artifacts and brings them back to the museum to be studied. And so Tourmaline lives there with her mum. She also has these 2 other children that are there. So there's George, whose mum is the head of the university, and then we have May, whose mum has just joined the faculty as a like admin supervisor. She doesn't have much to do with the artifacts side of it, and Tourmaline immediately thinks that May is some sort of foe, but she's not. She's just another child like thrown into this situation. So when Tourmaline's mum goes missing on a quest, and she overhears some of the other professors talking about how they're not going to go and search for her because what she was on a quest for seems to be a little bit questionable, like they're trying to brush it under the carpet what she was looking for, what artifact she was after. So Tourmaline decides that she is going to go and bring her mum back herself, and luckily for her, George and May decide to join her on that adventure. As they are escaping the university, they come across a band of female pirates who take them kind of as hostages, I guess, or like as punishment for being stowaways. They end up joining forces and they go on an adventure to find her mum. This was such a fun book. Tourmaline is just so headstrong and I love that about her. She is so fun. It is so enjoyable to watch her journey. And then her friends as well, and particularly George, watching him kind of blossom from this very nervous, anxious little boy at the beginning to being on this adventure brings out like a more brave side to him that he didn't know he had, which is really fun. This is one of those books that'd be really fun to read with your children if you like the sound of it. But what if you like the sound of it, middle grade isn't really your thing. There is a book called The Lion's Legacy. I can't reach it right now. I think it's called The Lion's Legacy. I'll put it up on the screen. Which is like a YA version of this, which is a really good book as well. Both of them both of them follow like a child who's in the Lion's Legacy. It's a teenage boy and his dad is like a famous YouTube explorer who goes and finds these artifacts. Usually he's paid to retrieve these artifacts, and in this obviously the university chooses, but in both books the children very much have a realization and like a discussion with their parents about, but why should you, why do you have the right to have this artifact? Like in this, Tourmaline comes to this kind of uneasy realization as she goes through where she's like, but hang on, and George very much vocalizes it as well. Why why do we have a right to take these artifacts from these places and put them in a museum where only like those that can afford to go to the museum or the university museum can see them? And I always appreciate children asking these questions and adults not being able to answer, because they can't simply just be like, it's the way it is, or money, or however they would respond to another adult who would be like, yeah, okay, yeah, I understand money. Children don't have that concept, so they are great people to be questioning these things. It shouldn't come down to children, obviously, but I really enjoy seeing children question adults over these things, and this was so fun. Tourmaline's so enjoyable to follow. There is a second book out already, which I will definitely pick up. I can't remember what it's called. I don't know if it's in here, but yeah, this is one I would love to read with my son, and the second book came out last year, so we can pick up that as well. I also tandems this with the audio, and the audio was fabulous. Another book I tandemed with the audio is The Impossible Secret of Lily & Velvet by Jacqueline Moriarty. I'm going to start by saying this book felt too big. This is like nearly 500 pages. It's an older middle grade. You know, we're looking at probably, I mean, the main character's 10, and I would say we're looking at that kind of age range that this is aimed towards. But it just felt very long for me. It was like a 12-hour audiobook, and I got to this point where I was listening to it on audio, and I was like, oh, this must be nearly finishing up now. So I looked in the book to find out, like, align it with where I'd got up to when I got home from work, and we were only like just over halfway through, like 60%. And I was thinking, this how this feels like it's been going on forever. That's not to say that the book, I don't really know where or when things could be cut. Like, it's not like that it's meandering. There's not a lot of filler stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I just, it's something that I was feeling as I was going through the book, so I thought I'd mention it. So in this, Lillian Velvet is a young girl who is she's very isolated from the world. She lives with her grandmother. She's homeschooled by her grandmother. She has no friends. The only person she interacts with is her grandmother. The husband and wife who live next door to her grandmother used to babysit her, and they gave her a lot of kind of that love that children need, but they moved away, so she's kind of on her own. And on her 10th birthday, her grandmother gives her this jar of gold coins, and she has no idea what they are, but she can't really ask her grandmother because her grandmother's very mean, very mean. However, the gold coins take her on trips. Like, she just finds herself being pulled into a different place and time, and as she goes along, she meets various members of this family and other people, and they all seem very random. But over the course of the week following her birthday, she discovers that they're not random, they're all interconnected, and the choices she's making is changing the world she's going to, and the people she's bumping into, is changing their like futures. So she grows to really care for these people that she meets, and there's like a guy who's in charge. There's a guy who she always meets when she travels anywhere, and he charges her the coins, and she gives him the coins, and he doesn't really give her any answers as to what's going on. She just kind of works it out as she goes along. And I would say that this would be a really good book for any, like, one that really enjoys a series of unfortunate events. Whilst it doesn't have like the darker tone that that series does have, I just feel like they kind of go well together. And this is part of a series. I think this might be the second book, but from what I can gather, the stories are not like, you don't have to read them sequentially. I think they're separate stories following the same kind of thing of traveling to other worlds. But yeah, this was really enjoyable, but it just was a lot longer than I had anticipated going into it. We have two more books to talk about. Let's start with Hedge Witch by Skye McKenna. So this is the first in the Hedge Witch series. The second one is called Wood Witch, and then the third one is called Sea Witch. I initially assumed they were standalones, but I looked at the description for the second book, and it is a continuation, which makes sense because this ends on a cliffhanger. So in this, we follow Cassie, who is a orphan girl. Well, she's at a boarding school where basically everyone hates her and is mean to her, and then she gets called to the head teacher's office and finds out her mum, like, she's not heard from her mum since her mum dropped her off at the boarding school, and that's been 7 years. And she gets called to the head teacher's office, and she's told that now 7 years have passed, they're declaring her as dead. So now Cassie is considered a orphan, and without a mum to pay for it, I don't know the ins and outs on how it was being paid for before, if no one had heard from her mum. But anyway, Cassie can no longer stay at the school. And kind of as a backdrop thing that's happening is there's discussion around kids going missing, and a girl from Cassie's school goes missing as well, just like disappears, and no one can find them. So Cassie decides she's going to escape, run away in the night, because she doesn't want to end up at an orphanage, which is where she's going to be sent the next day. So she packs her bags and she escapes the boarding school. She somehow makes it through the night. She makes it to like the town nearby. She's found by this cat Montague, and it turns out he's a talking cat, and he has been sent by her aunt, who she didn't know that she had, to come and find Cassie. So he's followed her to the town, and he's like, hey, your aunt is a witch. Witches are kind of known about. They're like, at the school that Cassie goes to, they're aware that there are witches, but they kind of just don't really think about them too much. And Montague's like, yeah, your aunt, your mum's sister, is a witch. Not only is she a witch, she's a hedge witch, which is the like which is the witch that's like in charge of securing their boundaries. So he's like, come on, we're gonna go, I'm gonna take you to meet her, and she's gonna take you in. Off she goes to, I believe it's called Hedgeley, which is the town where they live. Yeah, Hedgeley. And the town is on the border of this hedge, and the hedge is where all of like the fae folk and fairies, goblins, pixies, etc., live. And the hedge witch's job is to keep that boundary absolutely secure. So Cassie's aunt has a very important job. She's called Miranda. And Cassie gets like taken into the coven and starts her witch training. Her aunt is a bit kind of, Cassie and her aunt don't seem to like click very well. Her aunt doesn't want to help find her mum. She's like, your mum's always been fickle. They had a big falling out before her mum disappeared. And she's like, your mum wanted to leave. She abandoned us, or she didn't want us, basically. So Cassie is trying to learn how to be a witch. She's like, obviously learned that she has witch in her blood, because her mum was a witch as well, or a witch in training. I don't think she passed her witch's training before she went missing. So she ends up making best friends, and they are dealing with the kids that are going missing, and it seems as though it could be related to something that's happening in the hedge, like in the magical side, and it's very kind of found family, and Cassie's learning like to have confidence in herself and things. And there are a few illustrations. They're very nice illustrations. They reminded me of what was that book series called, like the Magic Tree House or something. I think that's what the book series was called that I read when I was a kid. So yeah, I really enjoyed this. This was great fun. Also, each chapter had a little illustration as well, and I absolutely love chapter illustrations. It's a bit more on the chunky side, I would say, for like older kids. Maybe we're looking at like 10 or something, but I'm very excited to pick up the next one in the series, Wood Witch, and I will be continuing with this series. And then continuing on with like orphanage style stories, we have The Doll Twin. So this is one I picked up hoping it would be more of a horror. I don't know if I mentioned this at the beginning, but I just picked all these books up entirely as a cover pickup. I was just browsing whilst my son was looking for his books, and I just picked up this stack based on covers that look nice, and I absolutely love the colours on this and just the whole aesthetic. So in this we follow Una, who is a orphanage. She is an orphan. She is in a orphanage, or like a girls' home. This is set after a Great War. I think it's a kind of alternate universe style war. You know, it's not like a war we know. And her dad died in the war, and I can't remember how her mum died. I think she died not long after. I think maybe a broken heart or something. I can't remember now. Bruna finds herself in an orphanage. Her family were lighthouse keepers, and in this world, like the families, there's like families who are lighthouse keepers, and like their surnames are well known for being lighthouse keepers, and they stay, you know, it'll be like, so her surname is Wexford, so her family, oh, the Wexfords, they were the lighthouse keepers at this particular lighthouse, like that kind of style. And her family were like well known for how great their knots were and stuff. Yeah, stuff like that. The reason I'm talking about this so much is because her being a lighthouse kid, as it's often discussed, is actually a big part of the storyline. So one day she gets adopted by a husband and wife who come to get her, and they literally just speak to her for like 2 seconds, like, yeah, we'll have her, like they're picking up a pet basically. They take her home, and she is so excited to have a mother and father. She doesn't call them mum and dad because that's her mum and dad, but these are mother and father. And they go to this small town, and the townsfolk seem really off with Una and her parents, like her adopted parents. And Una makes friends with a girl at school who says like everyone in the town is just really funny with outsiders. And when she finds out what house they live in, she's like, oh, like everyone hates that house as well. Everyone literally has horseshoes on their doors to keep out what is rumoured to be in the house she lives in now. And in the house she lives in now, there was a animatronic doll maker that lived there, and people think that the like robotic dolls that she made were like evil, and there's loads of rumours of like these dolls killing people and stuff, as happens in small towns, you know, like these rumours that go around. And when Una does first get to the house is actually full of dolls, and it creeps her out so much, and they were left behind by the doll maker. So Una's new parents are really weird. Like they're loving, but they're weird. They never seem to be out of the house. They have a lot of money, but neither of them works, or I didn't pick up any mention of either of them working. And then one day there's like weird noises happening in the house, and Una comes across an animatronic doll who looks exactly like her twin. looks exactly like her. And Arnie is desperate to be best friends with Una, and Una is like, I don't know if I could trust you. Like, you know, I've seen this film before, and horror films don't end well. But yeah, and then she tells her parents, and rather than be scared or whatever, they're like, this is amazing. So her adopted mum loves like drawing and cooking and a little bit of tinkering, and then her adopted dad is really into mechanical stuff, and he has like a big carousel in the basement that was left behind by this animatronic genius that lived in the house before, and he's been trying to restore it. And that's where Una, being a lighthouse girl, comes into play, but because she knows how to do like basic mechanics and things, and she knows how to do like clockwork fixings and stuff, so she helps her adopted dad with this carousel. And then when they meet Annie, the mum's like, perfect, you can basically be Annie's little bitch. You can make sure her clockwork is always working well, you can keep on top of all that, you can teach her how to be a human, and basically you are her little servant girl. And then she starts getting really weird with Una, and there was a bit that made me so angry I literally shouted out loud at this. So they're making mince pies. Una's been desperate to make them because she wants to like get her parents to love her, and she thinks by being the perfect child and like doing things for them, that's how they're going to love her and want to keep her as a daughter, because she's scared they're going to send her back to the home. Which I thought was a ridiculous notion, but the mum does threaten her with it at some point, and oh my god, I was so furious at that. But there's this bit where they're making mince pies, and it's Una's family's recipe, and the parents invite Annie to do it with them, and then they're basically like, let Annie do it, like teach her how to do it, let her do it, you just do the things for her, you like collect the ingredients and measure it out for her. And they're like praising Annie all the way through, and the mum's like, I'll do the cleaning up, girls. Annie, I'm so proud of you, your first ever cooking lesson, and you did it all perfectly. What do you think, Hugh? And he says, extraordinary, a marvel, that doll maker was a genius. Una was left standing at a table like an unwanted piece of cutlery, and Annie and Una are in the other room whilst Annie's mince pies are cooking, because they could only fit one tray in at a time, and Mum was like, Annie should go first. And then Mum calls, Annie, I believe your pies are done now, they look lovely. Una, you can put yours in now. So Una puts hers in, and then half an hour she smells something burning, and she rushes in and pulls the mince pies out, and they're burnt. And it's seasoned a pair of mitts. She pulled out a tray of blackened mince pies and dropped them with a bang on her stovetop. The kitchen was empty, but Mother had already sprinkled Annie's beautiful golden mince pies with icing sugar. Una's were ruined. As she stared down at the blackened mess, Mother reappeared. Oh dear, Una, she sighed. Better luck next time. Oh, I was getting so angry with those parents. And yeah, definitely horror adjacent. I liked this because it was like a lot of the AI horror films that are coming out now, and this was like written for children, so I like that. So those are the four I read. Tourmaline, Lillian, Velvet, Hedge Witch, and The Doll Twin. And then the two I didn't get around to in this video, but I will still read, obviously, are October, and The Haunted Life of Dolores Mackenzie. So that was a good little reading session, definitely. These two I'll still have to try and read soon before they're due back. But yeah, that was just so much fun. So thank you for joining me today for just reading and reviewing a few middle grade books. Make sure to like this video and subscribe. Come follow me in my other places like Instagram and TikTok, and let me know in the comments if you are a fan of middle grade books, and I will see you soon for another video. Bye friends.